As Dorset's nights grow long and the coast turns cold with mist, ancient forts, secret tunnels, and haunted inns stir to life. Join us on a journey through 10 haunted places, perfect for this spooky season. Nothe Fort. As autumn storms roll in and the nights draw long, Nothe Fort in Weymouth seems built for this spooky season. By daylight, its grey stone walls and grassy ramparts are a favourite for walkers and families. But when the sea mist creeps inland and dusk folds over the harbour, the great Victorian stronghold takes on a different life. Built in the 19th century to guard the coast and manned again during the Second World War, the fort is a warren of echoing tunnels and heavy gun rooms where history feels close enough to touch. Legends here speak first of a shadowed figure that patrols the outer walls long after closing. Visitors describe a tall shape gliding along the ramparts, sometimes pausing to look out over the darkening sea before fading into the stone. Below ground, deeper mysteries await. The long, brick-lined corridors carry a constant chill, and the whistling of a young gunner, crushed by a cannon during an accident more than a century ago, is said to drift through the shell store. Many describe sudden icy drafts that strike without warning, as though something unseen brushes past. Dogs refuse to enter certain passages, growling at corners of empty air. Children on school trips have pointed to figures their parents cannot see, and guides have found heavy doors swinging open after they were carefully locked. The fort's own cameras add to the unease. Security staff report footage that freezes, blurs, or cuts out entirely when the unexplained activity begins. Some believe these are the restless spirits of soldiers who never left their post, carrying out a duty that death could not end. Others think the fort itself, soaked with decades of gunpowder and wartime fear, has learned to hold memories that replay when the nights are longest. Whatever the cause, Nothe Fort becomes an immense stage for the unseen once daylight fades. As the sea wind rises and the harbour lights flicker below, visitors stepping out of the tunnels often pause, certain they are not alone. From this haunted sentinel, our journey through Dorset's ghostly season continues deeper into inns and hidden lanes where other restless stories wait. The Smuggler's Inn. Perched above the wild coast at Osmington Mills, the Smuggler's Inn looks today like a friendly seaside pub, with low ceilings, heavy beams, and the scent of salt drifting from the bay. Yet its name remembers a harsher age when brandy and tobacco moved across the channel by moonlight. In the 18th century, this inn was a favoured haunt of daring free traders who used the hidden coves to land contraband before slipping inland. Local legend tells of Pierre Latour, known as French Peter, a cunning smuggler with a quick temper and a knack for disappearing. One winter's night, a revenue officer concealed himself inside the great chimney to eavesdrop on French Peter and the landlord as they planned their next run. Before dawn, both men met violent, unexplained ends. Some say the officer was discovered and silenced. Others whisper of a deal turned deadly. Whatever the truth, the walls of the old inn seem to have kept the memory. Modern visitors report sudden cold drafts, carrying the faint tang of sea and tar. After closing time, low voices drift from the cellar, speaking in accented English that falls silent if anyone approaches. Barrels stand moved without a sound. More than one guest has felt a firm tap on the shoulder, only to find the room empty. Dogs brought inside sometimes refuse to settle, staring toward the chimney with raised hackles while the fire hisses as if stirred by unseen hands. One former barman recalled locking up when coarse laughter rolled from the snug. He searched every corner and checked every door, yet found only stillness and the distant wash of waves. Along the cliff path outside, walkers have glimpsed figures in old seafarer coats that vanish like mist when followed. Whether these events are the restless spirits of French Peter and the doomed officer, or the echo of a violent trade, the Smuggler's Inn holds more than a cheerful pint. After dark, it becomes a theatre of whispered bargains and unfinished business, where history itself seems to rise with the tide and walk beside the wind. From this haunted coast, our path leads deeper into Dorset's shadowed inns and secret histories. The Black Dog Inn. In the winding lanes of Old Weymouth stands the Black Dog Inn, a weathered public house with dark timbers and a long memory. By day, it welcomes travelers and locals with the comfort of hearth and ale. Yet as night falls and the harbour mist curls around its stone walls, the building seems to lean closer, as if listening for footsteps long gone. The inn's history is steeped in the rough trade of 18th century smuggling. Local law claims that the cellars once hid contraband and that quarrels over illicit profits sometimes ended in sudden death. One winter night, legend says, rival gangs clashed here in a fight so fierce that spilled rum and blood mingled on the floor. Those who fell are said never to have left. Modern patrons describe strange encounters that echo those turbulent times. In quiet hours, books have been seen leaping from shelves. Heavy footsteps cross empty rooms overhead. Guests speak of a sudden tug at their hair or the icy brush of unseen fingers on the shoulder. A woman once heard a low greeting behind her, only to find the bar deserted. Among the inn's most enduring figures is a shadowy female shape, gliding near the hearth, sometimes accompanied by the faint scent of burnt candles or paraffin. Others report spectral smugglers, locked in endless argument, their outlines flickering like smoke. And there is the so-called Trilby Man, thought to be a former landlord, who appears by the fireplace in his distinctive hat, watching as if still counting the day's takings. The building itself seems to share in the mischief. Doors bolted at closing time swing open without a sound. Electrical items spark to life or fail without cause. The homely aroma of stew or pipe tobacco drifts through rooms long cold. Even seasoned staff admit that certain corners carry a tension that deepens after midnight, as if unseen eyes are fixed upon every move. Whether these manifestations are restless spirits or memories imprinted on timber and stone, the Black Dog Inn remains alive with stories that refuse to fade. Here, Dorset's seafaring past lingers in every draught and shadow, inviting those who dare to listen for whispers of long-dead sailors and secret deals gone wrong. From this house of echoes, we journey next to a place where love and despair left a haunting of their own. King Charles Inn. On a narrow street in Old Poole stands the King Charles Inn, its brickwork glowing softly in the harbour light. By day, it is a cheerful pub, alive with chatter and the clink of glasses. But when the harbour mists roll in and the evening tide sighs against the quay, the atmosphere shifts. The building seems to carry a quiet sorrow, as if still waiting for someone who never came home. Local legend tells of a sailor and the inn's young landlady who fell deeply in love. Before setting sail, he vowed to return and marry her, and she promised to wait. But a violent storm struck his ship's route, and news of his fate never reached the harbour. Believing him lost, the heartbroken woman climbed to an upper room and ended her life. Days later, the sailor finally returned, only to find her lifeless. Overcome with grief, he too is said to have taken his own life. Visitors speak of signs that their spirits remain. A sudden aroma of salt air drifts through upstairs rooms where no window is open, said to announce the sailor's presence. In quieter corners, a faint trace of lavender water lingers where the landlady is thought to wander. Footsteps pace empty halls, and the soft sound of breathing has startled those locking up at night. Bottles rattle on their shelves, glasses slide, and sometimes crash without cause, and pets refuse to enter certain rooms, staring into shadows no one else can see. Some nights bring even stranger encounters. Guests have felt a gentle nudge as they passed along the stairwell, or a cold brush across the cheek as though someone long gone were trying to comfort or warn them. A few have claimed to hear a muffled cry for help echoing from the upper floor, a sound that fades into silence before anyone can respond. Whether these are the restless lovers or memories etched deep into oaken stone, the King Charles Inn carries the ache of a promise broken by fate. Its walls seem to listen, for voices lost to the sea, holding fast to a love story that ended in tragedy yet refuses to be forgotten. From these haunted chambers, we move onward to another Dorset inn, where unseen hands still set the tables long after closing time. The Cow. Tucked along Station Road in Lower Parkstone stands The Cow, a modest inn with a quietly enduring reputation for the unexplained. By daylight, it is a friendly stop for travelers, its windows bright and welcoming. Yet when evening deepens and the streets fall still, the atmosphere shifts. The old timbers seem to creak with memory, and a sudden draft can feel like something more deliberate than mere sea breeze. Stories here center on a servant, known only as Molly Remembered for her tireless work setting tables and tending to guests in the early years of the inn. Local legend says her life ended unexpectedly and that she still keeps her silent watch. Staff and visitors alike describe a peculiar mix of homeliness and unease, as though someone unseen is forever preparing the house for a day that never arrives. Many who linger after closing time tell of light footsteps brushing past in narrow corridors and the faint swish of a skirt where no figure walks. Guests have woken to find their bedclothes neatly tugged back as if for morning service, or felt a firm yet gentle push urging them from their sleep. In the quiet bar, cutlery sometimes clinks and rearranges itself as if phantom hands were laying breakfast for absent patrons. Other moments are more startling. A sudden cold gust will rush across a room despite closed windows. Some have felt the unmistakable sensation of being nudged aside while standing at the bar, as if Molly is hurrying through with her endless duties. On rare occasions, a soft, almost contented sigh has been heard in the empty dining area, followed by the faint scent of freshly polished wood. Whether Molly's spirit truly lingers, or these are echoes imprinted on the building's fabric, the Cow holds the gentle yet haunting presence of a worker who never quite finished her shift. Every creak of floorboard and delicate chime of glass seems to carry her dedication through the years. From this quiet inn of domestic phantoms, we journey next to a grander house whose ghostly reputation shines far beyond Dorset's borders. Langtry Manor Hotel. On a quiet road in Bournemouth stands Langtry Manor, a grand house of brick and stone with elegant windows that catch the fading light. Built in the late Victorian era, the manor is wrapped in stories of love secrecy and royal intrigue. Local lore whispers that it was designed as a private retreat for the celebrated actress Lily Langtry, who is said to have shared a discreet romance with the future King Edward VII. By day, the manor is a boutique hotel with fireside charm. By night, it becomes something else entirely. Guests who stay in its high-ceilinged rooms often speak of a sudden drop in temperature and an indefinable hush, as though the house itself is listening. The most persistent legend tells of a pale apparition gliding silently along the grand staircase and across the upper hall. She is described as a graceful figure in a flowing white gown, her features soft yet elusive. Many believe this is Lily herself, still walking the corridors she once knew so well. There are stories of doors that refuse to stay shut and mirrors that briefly hold an extra reflection. Some visitors have awoken to the faint scent of old-fashioned perfume or heard the rustle of silk where no one stands. A night porter recalls stepping into the drawing room to find the curtains moving as though a figure had just passed through. Others describe a presence in the garden, glimpsed from an upstairs window, as if someone were taking a quiet evening stroll, only to vanish before the eye can focus. What makes Langtry Manor especially intriguing is the sense of calm that accompanies these moments. There is no menace in the White Lady's wanderings, only a gentle melancholy, as though she lingers out of affection rather than unrest. Some suggest that her loyalty to the memories made here keeps her near a silent guardian of the house she loved. Whether one sees her as the spirit of Lily Langtry or simply an echo of an age of royal secrets, the effect is the same. Visitors leave with the feeling that history here is not merely remembered, but alive, moving quietly in the shadows of chandeliers and the soft glow of candlelight. From these hushed and elegant rooms, our path turns next to a coastal fortress where darker energies are said to gather. Portland Castle, rising above the rugged Isle of Portland Castle, stands as a Tudor fortress shaped by sea winds and centuries of defense. Its grey stone walls, once built to guard England's southern coast, now guard secrets of a different kind. By daylight, the castle is a striking monument to naval history, but when dusk falls and the Channel mist creeps inland, its echoing passages seem to hold something far older and stranger than gunpowder and stone. Visitors often describe a sudden chill in the air as they climb the worn staircases or pass through the vaulted Great Hall. In the kitchens, an acrid smell, like burning or rotting flesh, sometimes drifts across the flagstones, though no fire burns and no food is stored. A guest once returned to the hall during a wedding reception and whistled to himself, only to hear a deep male voice whistle back from the shadows. The castle's narrow passages carry sounds that no living visitor makes. Staff and travelers have heard footsteps pacing empty corridors and the rustling of a heavy dress sweeping over the stone. At unexpected moments, the scent of lavender will rise as if someone long departed has passed by. In the area where a cannon now stands, guard the tug on a sleeve or the brush of unseen fingers has startled even experienced guides. More than one witness has reported the fleeting figure of a woman in a long gown gliding across a stairwell before fading into the thick walls. Children exploring the grounds sometimes speak of a mysterious playmate who vanishes mid-sentence, leaving only the echo of laughter. Even the castle's modern alarms add to the legend, tripping without cause in locked and empty rooms, as though unseen hands are testing the defenses. Whether these moments belong to the ghosts of soldiers' servants or the countless families who lived and worked within its walls, Portland Castle seems to replay fragments of its past when the night is quiet enough to listen. Each cold spot, each phantom scent, feels like a message carried forward on the sea air, blurring the boundary between memory and haunting. From these mist-shrouded battlements, we continue to another Dorset home, where a literary giant once wrote, and where shadows still seem to move with a life of their own. Hardy's house at Max Gate. In a quiet corner of Dorchester stands Max Gate, the red brick home designed and once inhabited by the great novelist and poet Thomas Hardy. Built in the late 19th century and surrounded by a sheltered garden, the house seems calm and ordinary by day. Yet when dusk falls and the last visitors leave a different atmosphere, settles over the rooms where Hardy wrote his most haunting works. Caretakers and guests speak of sudden cold drafts that glide through the hall, even on warm evenings. Doors creak open without a breath of wind. In certain rooms, the faint scent of pipe tobacco drifts by, as though Hardy himself has stepped back from a long walk to light his evening smoke. Shadows gather in corners where no light should flicker, shifting just beyond the reach of lantern or lamp. One evening, a staff member tending the garden at twilight looked up to the house and glimpsed a figure at an upstairs window. The outline was unmistakably human, yet no one was inside. By the time the caretaker reached the door, the room was empty and silent. Others have described hearing faint footsteps in the study, where Hardy penned tests of the D'Urbervilles as if a restless muse still paces the floor. There is a deeper unease in the upstairs chambers. Guests have felt a soft pressure on the shoulder or the sudden sense that someone is standing just behind them. On rare nights, a low murmur, almost like the turning of pages or the quiet hum of thought, floats through the corridors. Some believe these echoes are Hardy's own creative spirit, unwilling to leave the place where so many of his words were born. What lingers at Mac's Gate carries no malice. Rather, it feels like a memory that refuses to fade, a mind still at work in silence. Whether ghost or lingering inspiration, the presence draws visitors into a world where fiction and life once intertwined. The house stands as both a monument to Hardy's genius and a subtle reminder that great stories may leave their own kind of imprint on the world. From this house of quiet literary hauntings, we move on to a memorial where soldiers of another age are said to gather in spectral silence beneath the open Dorset sky. Poole War Memorial. In the heart of Poole Park stands the town's solemn war memorial, a stone column rising above lawns where children play and gulls wheel overhead. By day, it is a place of remembrance and quiet reflection. Yet when darkness falls and mist drifts in from the harbor, the memorial takes on a presence that feels almost alive, as if those it honors have never truly left. For decades, evening strollers and late shift workers have spoken of figures gathering at the edge of the monument. Seen from a distance, they appear as a small company of khaki-clad soldiers, with their heads bowed motionless in the half-light. Approach too closely, and they fade, melting back into the mist, with the sound of soft footfalls on gravel that leads nowhere. A night watchman once recounted pausing on his round to watch a group of 7 silhouettes form silently beside the memorial. He called out, thinking perhaps of late visitors, but no answer came. As he drew nearer, the men seemed to blur and then dissolve entirely, leaving only the cool scent of wet stone and the faint echo of marching boots. Others have described a sudden, overwhelming stillness around the monument, as though the air itself is holding its breath. There are other signs that stir the imagination. On calm evenings, a lone bugle note has been heard, a sound so clear and mournful it seems impossible that no musician stands nearby. Fresh wreaths of poppies have been found in unexpected places, perfectly arranged without human hand. Dogs that walk contentedly elsewhere in the park grow uneasy here. After nightfall, their ears pricked at sounds beyond human hearing. Whether these manifestations are spirits of the fallen or the lasting imprint of countless remembrance ceremonies, Poole War Memorial feels charged with a quiet vigilance. It is as if the soldiers it commemorates continue their watch, bound not by duty alone, but by love of home and comradeship that outlives death. From this open-air sentinel of memories, we travel next to a Dorset church by the harbour, where the sea's eternal restlessness is echoed in wreaths that appear from nowhere and whispers carried on the wind. St. James Church. Close to the harbour in Poole stands St. James Church, known among locals as the Fisherman's Church. Its sturdy tower and salt-weathered stones have witnessed centuries of storms and safe returns. By daylight, the churchyard is peaceful, filled with the sound of gulls and the smell of the sea. Yet when dark clouds gather over the channel and the wind turns sharp, a different story unfolds. Many believe the spirits of lost sailors return here to mark their eternal connection to the sea. Parishioners have found wreaths of fresh flowers lying on the worn flagstones when no service was planned. These wreaths seem to appear overnight, especially when the weather is rough, as if placed by invisible hands. A faint, briny aroma clings to them, and no one has ever seen who brings them. Late at night, muffled footsteps are sometimes heard along the aisles, followed by the soft creak of a pew, as though someone has settled to pray. A former verger once described entering the church after a gale to find the air heavy with salt and the faint sound of distant singing, a lament in no known language. Outside, the narrow lanes that lead from the quay are said to echo with whispered voices, carried on the wind, though no living soul is present. On the windiest nights, some locals speak of fleeting silhouettes on the roof, figures outlined against the moon before vanishing into the storm. Whether these are spirits of fishermen who never returned, or the echoes of countless prayers for those lost at sea, the church seems to hold the grief and devotion of generations in every stone. St. James Church closes our journey through Dorset's haunted heritage with a note of mystery that is both sorrowful and strangely comforting. Here, the living and the lost seem to meet across time, bound by love and the endless tide. Outro, about 200 characters. Our haunted walk through Dorset ends where sea and spirit meet. Share your thoughts, like and share the video, and subscribe to Creepy Experience for more chilling journeys into Britain's haunted past.